What complex negotiations help GOs operate in conflict zones? Imagine trying to deliver aid in a place where fighting is ongoing and trust is scarce. That's the reality for non-governmental organizations working in conflict zones. They face a web of negotiations that are vital for their work. These talks are rooted in international humanitarian law, which includes the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict. These laws set the rules for how wars are fought and how civilians and aid workers should be protected. GOs need to work with many different parties to get access and keep everyone safe. One of the first hurdles is negotiating with warring parties. These groups or governments often control who can enter affected areas. GOs must convince them to allow aid workers to operate safely and to respect humanitarian principles like neutrality and impartiality. Sometimes, they need to establish humanitarian safe zones or corridors. These are special routes or areas where civilians can escape danger or aid can be delivered without interference. Getting agreement on these corridors often involves international organizations like the International Committee of the Red Cross or the United Nations. They help monitor and ensure these agreements are followed. GOs also work out formal agreements with host states and international bodies. These are legal contracts that clarify what GOs can do, what protections they have, and how they operate within the conflict. For example, they might sign agreements similar to status of forces agreements, which specify the legal protections for their staff. These agreements help GOs avoid legal trouble and reduce risks of attacks or interference. Following international humanitarian law is another key part of these negotiations. GOs must always operate with neutrality and ensure aid is given without discrimination. If they ignore these principles, they risk losing access or facing hostility from conflicting parties. They also coordinate closely with international organizations and donors. This helps secure funding, logistical support, and legitimacy. When GOs align their efforts with international mandates, it makes negotiations smoother and their work more effective. Security is a major concern too. GOs negotiate safety arrangements to protect their staff from violence, kidnapping, or attacks. These talks often involve agreements on safe conduct and respecting humanitarian spaces. They also set up mechanisms to hold parties accountable if they violate these protections. In the end, GOs' ability to work in conflict zones depends on many layered negotiations. They need consent from conflicting parties, legal agreements with governments and international bodies, strict adherence to humanitarian principles, and coordination with other humanitarian actors. All these efforts help secure safe access, protect civilians, and make sure aid reaches those who need it most.